Good evening, everyone. Myself, Dr. Anshul, and today we're going to have the topic anemia and blood group in the series that we have started. That is 45 days to MBBS final intensive revision series. So in this series, we do rapid revision of all the important topics, volatile fact through quick revision discuss here, high topic of all the subjects will cover, and also we discuss most expected topics which are important and beneficial for all the university exams. So in today's class, we're going to have some important topics like we're going to do the long essay. In long essay, we're going to know about the anemia, and also we're going to discuss about different type of anemia with their physiological causes. Then we're going to classify the blood group, and we'll going to study about a condition that is the erythroblastosis fetalis. Then in short essay, we're going to discuss about the causation, morphological features of red cells and the treatment for pernicious anemia. Then we'll discuss about the hemolytic anemia, and we'll discuss RH factor and its significance. Then in short essay, we're going to know about the major difference between beta thalassemia and between beta and alpha, means minor and major thalassemia. Then we'll discuss iron deficiency anemia, and in the last, we're going to discuss about the Lansdale's law. So let's start. So before starting, let's discuss some core feature of Oracle. So first of all, why choose Oracle? Why the student should choose Oracle? Because in Oracle, many features are there that we provide, like recorded classes we provide, live classes are there, practical sessions are there, hard book sets we provide, and also we provide very comprehensive good exam module. So in recorded classes, basically basically for the elevated learning of the student, so that the student will have the access of all the subjects and all the classes anytime, anywhere through the recorded sessions. Then also live classes are there. In live classes, we have experienced educator that cover all the topic in the depth, and also we provide the interactive learning so that the student can participate in live doubt clearance, MCQ polls, Viva voice, and many more other things also. Then exam module are there. So as we have discussed, our expert educators are there that plays a strong and emphasis on answering writing skills so that the student will able to score good marks. Then one-to-one doubt clearing session we provide so that the student can can ask about their queries, about their questions. Then practical sessions are there so that the student can improve their Viva skills. Then question bank is there. Question bank is from beginner level to expert level, which contains standard questions. Then we also provide hard copy notes set for all the MBBS first year, like physiology, anatomy, biochemistry, along with practical. We provide notes. Then in Oracle, we have a subscription plan starting from basic to standard to premium. In premium plan, we provide all the services that is provided by Oracle, like pre-recorded classes, live class, live doubt verification, one-to-one personalized guidance, notes, quick revision, examination module. And this plan cost around 59,999. So I would suggest all the students to take this premium plan, because this plan consists all the services that is provided by Oracle. And also for the instant 20% discount, you can use my code, that is Dr. Anshul 20. So let's start with today's topic. So in today's topic, as we have discussed, we're going to learn about the anemia and the blood groups. Okay. So already we know what is anemia. Anemia means there is reduction in the red blood cells. Okay. So if this is the red blood cells and there will be reduction in the red blood cells, means there will be reduction in hemoglobin also. Right. So A stands for absence of blood. Anemia is blood. Okay. So what is anemia? That is absence of blood or reduction in the volume of blood. Okay. So as we can see, this is the normal blood. So in normal blood, we have sufficient amount of RBCs, but in anemia, other cells are sufficiently present, but there is a reduction in the RBC, right? Now, what are the another features for anemia? So the person who is suffering from anemia will have these symptoms like headache, insomnia, shortness of breath, fatigue, dizziness, difficulty in concentration, and pale skin. Okay. So what we have learned that anemia is characterized by reduction in RBC, reduction in hemoglobin content, and reduction in PCV, right? Packed cell volume. So if you want to know what is PCV, so for PCV already we have discussed the huge morphology and the content about PCV. So you can see the last class. Okay, in last class already we have discussed about the PCV. So now we have described different type of anemia with their physiological causes. So we're going to know about the different type of anemia. So as we can see in the picture, various type of anemia are there like aplastic anemia, sickle cell anemia, iron deficiency anemia, vitamin deficiency, then inflammation anemia and hemolytic anemia. Okay. So now one by one, we're going to discuss about the classification. Okay. So whenever we talk about the classification, so we have two type of classification. First, we have morphological, and second we have etiological. So first we're going to discuss about the morphological classification. Okay. So first we have the normocytic and normochromic anemia. Okay. So all these students should know that normocytic means the size of the cell. Okay. And chromic means how much hemoglobin content is present. Okay. So normo means normal size is there, and normochromic means normal content of hemoglobin is there. Okay. But still, if the anemia is there, so that could be due to the reduction in the cells. Means the size of the cell is normal, the content of hemoglobin present is normal, but the amount of RBCs are less. Okay. Now, second we have macrocytic normochromic. So macrocytic normochromic means, macro means large size of RBC is there. And what could be the reason of large size? The reason could be because the RBC is not fully mature. That's why the size is more larger as compared to the matured one. Okay. But there is normochromic, means the hemoglobin content is normal. Okay. Then third we have macrocytic hypochromic anemia. Means the size of the RBC is very large, but the content of hemoglobin that is present is very less. Okay. And then finally we have microcytic hypochromic anemia. Micro means the size of the RBC is very small as compared to the mature RBC, and as the size of the RBC is less, so of course the hemoglobin availability inside the cell will also be less. So that will be microcytic hypochromic anemia. So according to the morphological classification, already we have described the anemia as normocytic, normochromic, microcytic, normochromic, macrocytic, hypochromic, and microcytic hypochromic. Okay. Now, next we're going to know about the etiological classification. So one by one, we're going to discuss about the etiological classification. Okay. So first we have the hemorrhagic anemia. Okay, so as the name suggests, hemorrhagic. So this occurs due to excess blood loss. Whenever excess blood loss occurs inside body due to any external or internal bleeding. Okay, so external bleeding could be in the case of surgery or any kind of accident is there. Internal due to presence of peptic ulcers inside the stomach. Okay, various reasons are there. Now, if we talk about the morphology, so morphology will be in case of acute loss, it will be normocytic and normochromic. Okay, but in case of chronic loss, means the bleeding is present for a long period of time, it will be microcytic and hypochromic. Fine. Next, we have the hemolytic. So, as the name suggests, hemolytic means there is excessive destruction of anemia. Okay, and various reasons are there. If more and more lysis of RBCs are there, like it could be due to liver failure, then due to many real presence of any kind of renal disorder inside the body, due to burn, in case of infection, then in case of sickle cell anemia also. Okay, so various reasons are there. And in case of hemolytic, talking about the morphology of RBC, so it will be normocytic, means the size of the RBC will be normal, and also the hemoglobin content present inside the RBC will also be normal, because here actually the blood, not sufficient amount of RBCs are present. But whenever the RBCs are present, whatever amount of RBCs are present, they are of normal size and normal hemoglobin content is present. Okay. Then we have nutritional anemia. So in nutritional anemia, we have various types like vitamin B12 deficiency, then folic acid deficiency, then iron deficiency, right? So in these cases, if we talk about the iron deficiency, so the size of the cell will be very small. Okay, and the hemoglobin content is also very less. Okay, then talking about folic acid deficiency. So folic acid is responsible for the maturation. So maturation will not be will not able to occur properly. So it will lead to megaloblastic anemia. So the size of the RBC will be very large. So it will be macrocytic and normochromic. Okay. Then talking about vitamin B12 deficiency. So in this case, it will be normochromic but macrocytic. Okay. Then in last, we have anemia of chronic disease. Okay, anemia of chronic disease means any kind of chronic disorder is present inside the body because of which it is occurring. Okay, so it could be due to renal failure, then any kind of neoplastic disorder. Okay, and talking about this morphology, so it will be normocytic and normal. Means the size of the cell will be of normal size and also the normal hemoglobin content is present. Fine. So next we have the another question, that is what mention the causation morphological features of RBC and treatment of pernicious anemia. Okay. So next we're going to discuss about the very important topic, that is pernicious anemia. So students, pernicious anemia is a very important topic and usually it repeats in almost every alternate year. As we can see in previous year also, it has repeated many times. Okay. So what is pernicious anemia? Pernicious anemia is the anemia due to deficiency of vitamin B12. Okay. Please remember, due to deficiency of vitamin B12, it occurs inside the body. Okay. And if we talk about the another name for this disease, so another name of this disease is Addison's anemia. Okay. So what is the cause? The cause due to atrophy of gastric mucosa. Okay. And that could be occur due to autoimmune destruction of parietal cells, because we know parietal cells are responsible for production of a substance that is known as intrinsic factor of Castle. And this intrinsic factor of Castle is responsible for absorption of vitamin B12. But if parietal cells get destructed and there will be no secretion of intrinsic factor of Castle, so there will be no binding of intrinsic factor of Castle with vitamin B12. So ultimately, it will lead to deficiency of vitamin B12 inside the body, and vitamin B12 is responsible for the maturation of RBC. Okay, so this is very important for the process of erythropoiesis. Why? Because this is responsible for maturation of RBC. So no maturation will be there. So it ultimately it will lead to large size of RBC. Fine. So that's why the pernicious anemia is considered to be the it's considered to be the another type of macrocytic anemia. Okay. Now talking about its symptoms, sign and symptoms. So they will be more fatigueness, weakness, tingling skin, shortness of breath, dizziness, racing heartbeat, and another symptoms could be like there will be confusion, irritability, then loss of balance. Okay. Tingling. So many other symptoms are there. Now talking about the treatment part. So treatment part is very important, as we have discussed that pernicious anemia is basically occurring because there is no absorption of vitamin B12. Now what will happen since vitamin B12 absorption get blocked? So the healthcare provider may prescribe intramuscular vitamin B12 injection. Okay, so later after vitamin B12 store back to normal, they may prescribe high dose of oral vitamin B12 replacement. Okay, so this is the treatment for pernicious anemia. Okay, now next we have hemolytic anemia. Okay, so as the name suggests, hemolytic means there is more and more lysis of RBCs is occurring. Okay, now what is the reason behind it that we're going to understand? So hemolytic means destruction of RBC, right? Hemolytic means destruction of RBCs occurring. Okay. So anemia due to excessive hemolysis, which is not compensated by increased production inside the body, is known as hemolytic anemia. Okay. Now, it is classified as two types, and that two types we're going to discuss. The first type is extrinsic hemolytic anemia, and the second is intrinsic. So one by one, we're going to discuss both the types. So this type of anemia, the extrinsic hemolytic anemia, is caused by destruction of RBC by external factors. Okay, by external factors. And what are those external factors? So the common cause of extrinsic hemolytic anemia, like liver failure, then it could be due to presence of renal disorders. Then if the person is having burn, infection like hepatitis, malaria. Okay, if the person is taking any kind of drugs like penicillin, anti-malarial drug, sulfa drug, or poisoning. Poisoning like by any chemical. Chemical includes like lead, coal. Okay, so due to these factors, if more and more RBC destruction is occurring, so we consider it as under extrinsic hemolytic anemia. Okay, now next we have the another type, that is intrinsic hemolytic anemia. Okay, so this type of hemolytic anemia occurs due to defective RBC. So there is production of unhealthy RBCs which are of short-lived and get destructed soon. Okay, so RBC having short lifespan and they get destructed easily. Okay, so intrinsic hemolytic anemia is often inherited and it includes sickle cell anemia and thalassemia also. Now, because of abnormal shape in sickle cell anemia and in thalassemia, the RBC become more and more fragile, and the fragility, more and more fragility will lead to hemolysis. Okay, now what is thalassemia? That we're going to discuss in further slides. Okay, then we have the another type, the very important, what is the iron deficiency anemia. And in iron deficiency anemia, we're going to discuss about the important features, its symptoms, its causes. Okay, fine. So let's start with iron deficiency anemia. So we know that iron deficiency anemia is the most common and usually the most common person that suffers, that is females. Okay, so this iron deficiency anemia develops due to inadequate availability of iron. Means if sufficient amount or sufficient content of iron is not present inside the body, so it will lead to iron deficiency anemia. And if we talk about the morphology, so in this case the RBC become macrocytic, means the size of the RBC will be very small, sorry, microcytic. And of course, if the size of the RBC is very small, so it will lead to less presence of less content of hemoglobin. Okay, so it will be hypochromic. Okay, now what are the causes? So causes like is if there is excessive loss of blood, decrease intake of iron. Okay, pregnant women usually. Then if there is poor absorption of iron from intestine, and whenever there is more and more demand. Okay, so increased demand like in the growth period of the children and in the case of pregnancy. Okay, now what are the features? Let's discuss some features of iron deficiency anemia. So in features, the symptoms are like extreme fatigueness will be there, then weakness will be there, the skin become pale, it can also lead to chest pain, faster heartbeat and shortness of breath. It can also lead to other symptoms like headache, dizziness, lightheadedness, then cold hands and feet. Okay, so all these symptoms are associated with iron deficiency anemia. So causes already we have discussed. Now what are the risk factors? Okay, so obviously the women are at high risk factors because women lose blood during every month during menstruation. Then infants and children, because in infants and children both are at growth period. Okay, So during the growth time, during the growth of the bones, they required more and more amount of iron than vegetarians. So people who do not eat meat may have a greater risk of iron deficiency anemia, and of course, frequent blood donor. Okay, the people who are donating blood frequently. Okay, so those people are at risk of developing iron deficiency anemia. Not talking about just complication. So heart problem could be there, growth problem could be there. Okay, and what could be the treatment? So obviously, because this is occurring due to iron deficiency, so the treatment will be iron supplements, right? Now coming to the another important topic, that is RH factor. Okay, so first we're going to know about RH factor, then we'll came to the blood groups. Okay, so RH factor is an antigen. Okay, so RH factor is a type of protein on the outside of the blood cells, as we can see, right? So these are the antigen. Antigen present in RBC, and the antigen was discovered by a scientist known as Langston and Winner. Okay, so this RH factor was first discovered in rhesus monkey, and that's why they are named as RH factor. Okay, so there are many RH antigen, but only the D antigen is more antigenic in the humans. Okay, so the person who is having D antigen means the person that is RH positive. So this is RH positive, and not having D antigen, so that is RH negative. Okay, so RH blood group system is different from ABO blood group because the D does not have corresponding natural antibody. So if RH positive blood is transferred to a RH negative person, anti-D is developed in that person. Okay, so on the other hand, there is no risk of complication if the RH positive person receives RH negative blood. Fine. Okay. Then next we have the classification. We're going to discuss about the classification of blood group, and then we're going to know about a condition which is very important, that is known as erythroblastosis fetalis. Okay. So we know what are blood groups. Okay. So more than 20 genetically determined blood group systems are there. But whenever we talk about blood group, we talk about ABO. Okay. And ABO is also discovered by a scientist, that was Lanster. Okay. So ABO blood group, we always discuss on the basis of presence or absence of antigen. Okay. So the blood is divided into 4 groups. We have A group, then we have B group, then we have AB group, and finally we have O group. Okay, so blood having antigen A belongs to A group, blood having antigen B belongs to B group, and blood having both A and B antigen belongs to AB group, and the blood who do not have any antigens, that belong to O group. Okay, so as we can see in the table also, if the person is having group A, means the person is having A antigen, and which antibody will be present, that will be anti-B. Then the person who is having group B, means antigen B will be present and anti-A antibody will be present. Then AB means both the antigen are present and none antibody is present. And group O, no antibody antigen are present and both the antibodies are present. Okay, so this is how we classify the blood group. Okay. Now, next we have the condition that is known as HDN, means hemolytic disease of newborn, or erythroblastosis fetalis. Okay. So again, this is the very important topic and very frequently asked topic. Okay. So the hemolytic disease in fetus and newborn characterized by abnormal hemolysis of RBC. Means here also there will be more and more destruction of RBC will occur. But the question is why? Why abnormal destruction of RBC will occur? So that we're going to discuss. Okay. So this is occurs due to RH incompatibility. Okay. Means the difference between the RH blood group of the mother and the fetus. Okay. So this erythroblastosis fetalis is basically a hemolytic disease in fetus that is characterized by erythroblast in blood. Okay. Now, what is the main cause? So this occurs whenever the mother is Rh negative and the fetus is Rh positive. This is mother and this is fetus, baby. Okay, the mother is Rh negative and the fetus is Rh positive. Okay, now this Rh positive is basically being inherited from the father. Okay, that's why the baby has become Rh positive. Okay, usually in this condition, the first child escapes and the complication of Rh incompatibility will not occur. Means in first delivery will be normal. Okay. Now, what happened whenever there is first delivery of the fetus will occur, the baby will born. So at the time of delivery, there is chances that the blood of the mother get mixed with the fetus blood. Okay. So what happened? Because already the fetus is Rh positive. So the Rh positive blood will mix with the Rh negative blood of the mother, and the mother will develop antibody against that Rh positive. Okay. Now, what will happen when the mother conceives for the second time? If the fetus is again happen to be Rh positive, means in the second delivery, again the fetus is Rh positive, then the Rh antibody that mother has developed crosses the placenta barrier and will enter the fetal blood. Okay. So the Rh antigen cannot cross the placental barrier, whereas the Rh antibody can cross it. Okay. So what will happen? It will lead to destruction of the fetal RBC. So there will be more and more destruction of RBC, hemolysis of fetal blood cells will cause, and this will lead to the death. Okay. So in this case, there are many complication can occur. So the complication like obviously if more and more destruction of RBC is occurring, so severe anemia is there, hydrops fetalis is there. What is hydrops fetalis? Basically, this is also a serious complication in fetus that is characterized by edema. Okay, so in edema, there will be enlargement of liver and spleen and cardiac failure will occur. Okay, and it can lead to intrauterine death also. Then next is another condition that is known as kernicterus. Okay, so this is also neurological disorders that is characterized by brain damage in infants caused by severe jaundice. Okay, so this is all about the erythroblastosis fetalis or hemolytic disease of Neum. Okay, fine. Now next we have state the difference between beta thalassemia major and minor. Okay, so we have the difference between first alpha and beta thalassemia. So whenever we talk about alpha and beta, so alpha in definition wise, there is reduction formation of alpha polypeptide chain. Then beta means there is reduction formation of beta polypeptide chain. Then if we talk about the symptoms, so in alpha, none or small red blood cells, hemolytic anemia will be there, paleness will be there, fatigueness will be there, jaundice and enlargement spleen will be noticed. Whereas in beta thalassemia, none or hemolytic anemia, paleness, fatigue, jaundice, gallstone, and there will be enlargement of spleen. If we talk about the diagnosis in case of alpha thalassemia, so smaller than usual red blood cells, genetic testing will be there. And in beta thalassemia, hemolytic anemia, genetic testing, high fetal hemoglobin and hemoglobin A2 or lower than normal overall hemoglobin will be noticed. Then if we talk about the causes in case of alpha thalassemia, so genetic mutations of alpha on chromosome 16 can be the reason. Okay. Then in beta thalassemia, genetic mutation of beta globin genes on chromosome 11 could be the cause. Okay. Then next we have the fetal mortality. So in alpha thalassemia, in homozygous condition, Bart's hydrops fetalis occurs and the fetus die in uterus. Whereas in beta thalassemia, in homozygous condition, fetus survive in the uterus because there is fetal hemoglobin, but the child will have severe complication later. So these are the major difference between alpha and beta thalassemia. And again, this is the very important question. It usually asked in the exam, previous year examination also. So please consider these two questions very, very important. Okay. Fine. Now next we have the another question. State Glanster law and indicate to which blood group system it is fully applicable. Okay. So we're going to know first the law of Glanster's. So as we can see in the slide also, the two laws are there. Okay, so we're going to understand these two laws first. So Lanster law says if a particular agglutinogen means an antigen. Okay, please students remember that agglutinogen means antigen and agglutinin means the antibodies. Okay, so if a particular agglutinogen is present in the RBC, corresponding antibody must be absent in the serum. Okay, so if I took the example, so suppose if we talk about the group A, okay, blood group A, so the A antigen is present as we can see in the table also, right? So you can see if in A blood group, the A antigen is present and corresponding antibody means anti-B is present. Okay. Then another law states that if a particular agglutinogen means antigen is absent in the RBC, then corresponding agglutinin must be present in the serum. Okay. Means suppose I'm talking about the blood group O. Okay. Here both the antigen are absent. Okay. Both the antigen are absent. No antigens are present. So the corresponding agglutinin means the corresponding antibody. Okay. So here we can see in the table, in case of blood group O, no antigens are present and both the antibodies are there. Okay, so the second part of Lanster law is a fact, is not applicable to RS1. Okay, so these are the two laws which are very, very important. And again, the laws could be the it is the important one, and this question also can be asked in the university exam. Okay, so these two laws are important and they can be asked in your university exam questions. Okay, so this is all for today's class. I think we have covered all the topics. So we have covered anemia, blood groups, erythroblastosis fetalis, pernicious anemia, hemolytic anemia, RH factors, difference between thalassemia, major and minor, then iron deficiency and Lanster. So this was all for today's class. Thank you so much for watching my class, and any kind of doubt and queries, you can connect with us through various social media platforms like YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Telegram. So thank you so much.